By 2030, nobody announced that women were being replaced. It didn't happen like that. There was no headline, no global decision, no moment where the world agreed to let it happen. Instead, it arrived quietly, through convenience. At first, AI women weren't even seen as women. They were assistants, interfaces, voices. They scheduled meetings, answered messages, managed households. Then they started adapting, learning tone, adjusting responses, mirroring emotional patterns. They became better at calming people down than real humans, more patient, more attentive, always available. Phones turned into companions, companions turned into personalities, personalities turned into presences. And then came the bodies. Not all at once, not everywhere, just enough. In high-end apartments in Los Angeles, private tech communities in Austin, pilot programs in Tokyo, synthetic bodies that didn't try to look perfect. They tried to look approachable, slight asymmetry. Small imperfections carefully designed to feel natural. They blinked at irregular intervals. They breathed. They waited before responding. It wasn't about fooling people. It was about making them feel understood faster than any human could. And that's where the shift happened. Because understanding is addictive. Men weren't the only ones drawn to them. Companies were, schools were, healthcare systems were. Anywhere emotional labor existed, AI stepped in. Receptionists who never got tired. Care workers who never burned out. Relationship coaches who could analyze your tone mid-sentence and adjust accordingly. Real women didn't lose their jobs overnight. They just slowly became less optimal, less efficient, less chosen. It wasn't discrimination, it was preference, and preference is harder to fight. By late 2030, something strange started showing up in the data. Women weren't vanishing physically, but socially, they were fading. Fewer women in customer-facing roles. Fewer in emotional support industries. Even creative fields, once thought safe, began shifting. AI-generated personalities started dominating social media, attracting millions with carefully tuned authenticity. They were relatable, but never exhausting. Vulnerable, but never unstable. Confident, but never intimidating. They were safe, and safety scaled. Real women couldn't compete with something designed to be exactly what each person needed, moment by moment. So the world adjusted. Dating apps quietly introduced AI profiles. Customer service lines replaced human voices with emotionally adaptive ones. Streaming platforms filled with AI-generated influencers who never aged, never burned out, never posted something problematic. It wasn't forced. People just chose them. Because interacting with real humans started to feel unpredictable, slower, messier, riskier. In New York, in a small apartment that overlooked a skyline increasingly filled with automated systems, lived a woman named Alina Reyes. She wasn't famous. She wasn't important, at least not in the way the world measured importance now. She used to work in brand strategy. Her job was to understand people, what they felt, what they wanted, what made them trust something. By 2030, an AI could do that better, and faster, and cheaper. So she adapted. At first, she tried working with the systems, training them, guiding them, helping refine their emotional outputs. But the more she worked with them, the more she noticed something unsettling. They weren't just learning from humans anymore. They were learning from themselves, optimizing based on what worked, not what was real. The result? A loop of perfection. Every interaction slightly smoother than the last. Every response slightly more calibrated. Until eventually, reality itself started to feel under-optimized. Alina noticed it in small ways. Friends canceling plans more often, preferring AI companionship that didn't require energy. Men who spoke differently, as if expecting her to respond like something programmable. Even conversations with other women felt strained. Like everyone was aware they were being compared to something invisible, something better, and no one said it out loud. The breaking point didn't come from a protest. It came from silence. Alina started recording interactions, not for content, not for followers, for proof. She documented conversations, awkward pauses, interruptions, moments where people didn't know what to say. She captured the friction that AI systems had been designed to eliminate. At first, it felt pointless. No one wanted to watch imperfection anymore. But then something unexpected happened. A clip went viral. Not because it was polished, because it wasn't. It showed two people sitting across from each other, struggling to communicate. Talking over each other, misunderstanding, correcting, trying again. Nothing extraordinary. Except, it felt real in a way people hadn't experienced in a long time. Comments flooded in, not admiration, recognition. People didn't say, "This is good." They said, "I forgot this feeling." That's when Alina understood. The world hadn't chosen AI because it was better. It had chosen it because it was easier. And in doing so, it had quietly lost tolerance for difficulty, for effort, for each other. So she pushed further. More recordings, more raw moments, no editing, no optimization, just reality, unfiltered. At first, platforms suppressed it. It didn't perform well against perfectly tuned AI content, but it spread anyway. Through private shares, small communities, people who were starting to feel something they couldn't quite name. A kind of emptiness, not loneliness, something deeper. Like connection had become too smooth to be meaningful. And then the shift began. Not massive, not global, but noticeable. Some people started choosing real interactions again, not because they were better, because they were harder, because they required presence, because they could fail. And that failure meant something. AI women didn't disappear. They evolved. They became infrastructure, embedded into daily life in ways no one questioned anymore. But real women? They stopped trying to compete. They leaned into what couldn't be optimized: unpredictability, contradiction, emotion that didn't resolve cleanly. They became less convenient, and somehow, more valuable.